Hey guys, thanks for joining me again. Today in this video we are going to be going over more command line stuff, and it's file permissions and file ownership. So the first thing we need to do in order to discuss this is to have a file that we currently don't have any permissions to. And the easiest way to do that is to type sudo nano file. What this is going to do is, as an administrator or as the root user, it's going to use nano to produce a file named file. I'm going to put .txt there so we can keep track of it. And I'm going to type read and Control O to save, hit enter and Control X. Now if I type ls-l, we see here that file.txt is owned by the user root and that user's group root. Now, what we've got here are permissions, and the way these columns work is this is for the owner. The owner can read and write. Groups can only read, and public can only read. So if I want to make myself able to read and write, I've got to change this third column to match that column. And I've actually got to first share it with the group Nick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a second command here called sudo chown. And this means change ownership of a file. And then how we write this is we type the user : group. So user corresponds to what we're setting this column to. Group corresponds to what we're setting this column to. So I'm going to leave it as root for the user that owns it and share it with the group Nick, and then the file that we want to perform this action on. Now if I type lsl, we should see here that file.txt now is under ownership of the Nick group. So we need to change this third column to write. So how we do that is use chmod, and we're going to use that as sudo to change the permissions of the file. Now 6 means it is readable and writable. 4 means it is readable, and 7 means it's a directory. We don't use that typically with single files, and we'll go over that more in a moment. So we're going to set, if I typed out the permissions in numeric values that it currently has, it would look like that. So we can see that 4 corresponds to read access, 6 corresponds to read-write access. So what we want to do to change the third column here is we're going to type sudo chmod 646 and then the file that we want to perform this action on. Now if I type ls-l, we can see that change has been made. So I can now use nano on file.txt, and I should be able to write to it, and I can't. That's because the columns, I changed the wrong column. We needed to change the second column. So I'm going to type sudo chmod 664 on file.txt. What this has done, the first 2 columns are now read, write, and the third column is just read. So now I can write to that file.